Criticism. Call it feedback, if you will. Call it notes. It's all useless bullshit. You can't trust it. I used to have some notion that there were people like Jedi Masters, but with better wardrobes, who would tell you the things in life that you needed to hear. Here's the inherent flaw. People are just as fucked up as you. Why do we think they have something important to say that's going to make our lives better? Oh, sure, you can say, but what about the feedback, nay, criticism necessary to improve in your job? Let me just say that this is all horsecock, too. I once had a friend read a spec script. I don't want to date myself by telling you which show, so let's just say it was My Mother the Car. Too old. How about Welcome Back, Kotter? So the aforementioned professional read my script and said that I had written a phrase that Mr. Kotter would never say. That's feedback. 2 months later, I saw Mr. Kotter use the exact same phrase someone said he would never say. That's horsecock. For sake of argument, let's just suppose that my friend, who was a very talented working professional with expertise in his field, was correct. Let's say that Mr. Kotter would never utter those words, and in fact hadn't uttered the same phrase 2 months later. So fucking what? Maybe he was right, but we all have experience knowing we were right about something and seeing it break the other way. We've all seen people who've lacked the necessary skills, experience, heartbeat to get a job, and yet go on to get that job they do anyway. We live in a world in which Aaron Sorkin continues to be thought of as a genius after Studio 60. My friend, anything can happen. So whether or not someone's criticism is right or wrong, so fucking what? And why, in the name of all that is holy, do we have people who are paid to do this professionally? It's not like Alfonso Cuarón's going to say, you know what? E.W. was right, and my dialogue is a little stilted. Maybe I should work on that instead of writing movies that make hundreds of millions of dollars. Or directing, or whatever the fuck he did, I don't know. He can't go back and he can't fix it. And what tiny percentage of people are still looking to critics to guide them at the movie theater like a social sensei anyway? I mean, what is the point of critics? And I say this as someone who has been reviewed, and usually well. But there is one kind of criticism that is so despicable and so reprehensible. It is the pedophilia of criticism. I'm talking of self-criticism. What makes self-criticism particularly diabolical is that I know I don't have the answers. If I had them, I wouldn't be in this pickle. And yet I persist in doing the criticizing anyway. It's like I think there must be some magical formula for the amount I need to beat myself up in order to take away the sting of being wrong to begin with. Now, shitheads will tell you that you can learn from your mistakes, but can you? It's not like the exact same situation presents itself over and over again, like you're Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day. Each situation in life is unique, and you have to blindly try to not fuck it up. You can do the right thing and lose, or do the wrong thing and by dumb luck come out unscathed. So just to review, people know nothing, you know nothing, dumb people sometimes get ahead. So if it's all futile, why bother? I mean, why bother indeed? That's exactly the position I found myself in last summer when I decided to give up. Give up what, you may ask? Everything. See, eventually what I learned from my mistakes was the only way to stop failing was to stop trying. Of course, people tried to stop me, and I could have told them that I'd made up my mind, but I'd given up arguing with people. Engaging you in some debate about why my day-to-day endeavors are futile would imply that even my arguing with you had some purpose. And that would not be giving up. Now, this may sound to some like depression. Depression is for people with hopes and dreams. I had given those up. For years, I'd been contemplating giving up several aspects of my life multiple times a day. Giving up drinking, giving up trying to give up drinking. Things like giving up drinking require work. You have to go to meetings and take up hiking or knitting or whatever the fuck people do when they're not drinking. All of this flies in the face of giving up. To really give up, you have to give up caring about everything. Except recycling. I don't know, I just think, where does all that trash go? I can't do it. So there I was giving up. I would watch the same episode of a TV show 2 days in a row. I saw episodes of Arrested Development 3 times in 24 hours. Not the last season, the old seasons. I wasn't giving up taste. I read great books in a day. I read shitty books in a day. I took naps without setting the alarm. I just got into bed and thought, fuck it, let's just see what happens. It was like having a fever except without the chills. All my life I had fought giving up. Why? When you give up, you can spend your afternoons watching TV without thinking about the 17 other things you should be doing. You don't trick yourself into thinking you'd have an Oscar by now if it wasn't for all these SVU marathons. Besides, that sounds suspiciously like criticism. And as we all know, criticism is a load of donkey dung. I even bought the dress I was going to give up in. It was this like Poochie-esque caftan. And I planned to just give up my career and float around my house in it, talking to my cats and listening to Serge Gainsbourg with a glass of Sancerre in my hands at all hours of the day. Even my giving up contains such elements of fantasy, my real life was never going to possibly measure up to it. Someday I'd have to force myself to give up my fantasy of giving up. It was only one more thing for me to fail at. And then I would criticize myself for failing at what was essentially already failing. If you can follow that, you're high. The other problem with giving up is that you have to keep going. You can't give up giving up. We've all given up for brief periods of time, only to realize after the fact that now we have to work twice as hard to catch up or lose our giving up weight. You know? And that's the exact opposite reason that we gave up in the first place. We give up because we're tired of working at things. But in order to be successful at giving up, you have to keep giving up, and eventually that's a lot of work. I gave up everything because I told myself I wasn't very good at anything, that I was secretly a sham. And at the end of the day, I'm a sham when it comes to giving up. Do you remember the story a few years back about Whitney Houston barricading herself in a bathroom with only a crack pipe and an army of dildos? That's giving up, my friends. It's gloriously giving up, and the rest of us are just amateurs. So let's review again. People know nothing, you know nothing, dumb people sometimes get ahead, and it's all futile, but you can't give up. So then what's to be done about criticism? What's to be done about the constant voices in our heads telling us everything we did wrong or should have done different or we're never going to do right anyway? Because we can't deal with the profound disappointment because we care so much. Is criticism a natural side effect of giving a shit? When my friend Mimsy points out that my Uggs have a hole in them and says that she can't believe that I wore them out in public and asks why my headband is a different plaid than my shirt, it's just because she cares so much about me looking like a homeless person that she doesn't want to be seen with. When the husband says that I'm computer poison and shouldn't be allowed near technology, it's only because he cares that my computer has crashed again, is going to ruin our marriage. Criticism is our way of saying, I wish I could have stopped this. But we couldn't. So we invoke criticism like a talisman against the unknown bad things that will happen to the ones we love in the future, that we still won't be able to stop. If I point out enough that could go wrong to you, I can keep you safe. And that's the real reason criticism is useless, because we can't keep them safe, and we can't always save ourselves. There is, however, one proper place for criticism, and that's around a table with a couple of friends who are sharing a bottle of wine and a grudge against another human being who is not there. In that case, criticism is like a balm. It is a salve that you can rub all over your brain. Oh wait, that's alcohol. Okay, then criticism is like a hug you give yourself from the inside. Because nothing restores my faith in humanity like knowing that other people around me agree that we are superior to most of it, even if we hate ourselves most of the time.